Yo, hoop fans! Your sideline sage, Tips and Upstreams, is lacing up once again. On deck, deep dives into the freshest NBA clashes, ready to set the planks ablaze. But before we jump the ball, be sure to hammer that subscribe on our YouTube channel to keep hooked with our sharp forecasts and prime selections. All right, let's bounce into today's NBA Crystal Ball reads. The first prediction for today is for the game between Indiana Pacers and Charlotte Hornets. In the high-voltage ambiance of the NBA, the Indiana Pacers are gearing up for a showdown with the Charlotte Hornets, igniting excitement among fans and experts alike. The Pacers, buoyed by a streak of recent triumphs, have clinched victories in 3 of their last 4 outings, unveiling an offense that's become a hot topic across the league. On the flip side, the Charlotte Hornets are on the hunt for a much-needed win after enduring a rough patch with losses in 10 of their last 11 encounters. Zooming in on the details, the Pacers have been on fire offensively, averaging 124.1 points with a stellar 50.8% from the field, spearheaded by the powerhouse duo of Tyrese Haliburton and Pascal Siakam. Despite their offensive prowess, their defense has been less impressive, conceding 122.4 points on 50.3% shooting, placing them towards the league's lower echelons in defensive efficiency. The Hornets, facing offensive hurdles, have managed only 108.3 points on 45.9% shooting. With LaMelo Ball out due to an ankle injury, missing his 23.9 points per game has significantly dented their scoring capability. The Pacers have maintained their offensive momentum even after trading Buddy Hield, demonstrating their adaptability and depth. The Hornets, on the other hand, have found a ray of hope by snapping a long losing streak with a win over the Grizzlies, despite a challenging season. Both squads are at pivotal moments, with the Pacers aiming to cement their playoff spot, and the Hornets seeking to gain momentum. The Pacers' sharp shooting, combined with their leading scoring offense, makes them a significant threat. Meanwhile, the Hornets, hindered by low shooting percentages and defensive lapses, especially without star player Ball, are at a clear disadvantage. In recent matchups, especially in Charlotte, the Pacers have had the upper hand, underlining their road game strength. This trend, along with the Hornets' difficulties against Eastern Conference and Central Division foes, signals a tough outing for the home team. Injuries, including Haliburton's uncertain status, introduce an element of unpredictability for the Pacers. However, Indiana's depth and offensive strength position them favorably against a Hornets squad missing its top scorer in Ball. Given the Pacers' explosive offense versus the Hornets' struggling defense, and considering Charlotte's scoring difficulties and Indiana's historical advantage, the prediction strongly favors the Pacers. Even with a challenging 11-point spread, Indiana's prospects to cover against a faltering Charlotte team appear strong, reflecting their recent form and the Hornets' persistent struggles. In summary, despite defensive concerns and Haliburton's potential absence, the Pacers' offensive dominance and historical success in Charlotte should lead them to victory. The Hornets, beset by scoring inefficiencies and defensive flaws, are expected to lag behind Indiana's pace. Hensey, betting on the Pacers to not only secure the win, but also cover the spread is the savvy move, reinforcing their recent dominance over a struggling Hornets side. The next prediction for today is for the game between Philadelphia 76ers and Cleveland Cavaliers. Tonight's clash at the Wells Fargo Center features the Philadelphia 76ers squaring off against the Cleveland Cavaliers in a riveting Eastern Conference showdown. The 76ers, hungry for a victory after a challenging period that saw them drop 8 out of their last 10 matches, are up against the Cavaliers, who are surging forward with a 9-game hot streak. Philadelphia's performance lately has been a roller coaster, with tough losses to the Warriors and Hawks, yet managing to snag a win against the Wizards, sparking a bit of optimism. The squad is putting up 118.5 points on a 47.3% shooting efficiency, with Tyrese Maxey leading the offense by netting an average of 25.7 points and dishing out 6.4 assists. Buddy Hield's arrival has made a notable impact, adding 21.5 points and grabbing 4.5 boards per game. Despite these standout contributions, Joel Embiid's absence due to knee surgery is a hard hit to their lineup, clearly impacting their recent form. Conversely, Cleveland's streak is highlighted by standout wins against the likes of the Bucks and Clippers, demonstrating their scoring punch and defensive strength. Averaging 114.9 points at a 48.3% clip, the Cavaliers are in sync, with Donovan Mitchell dazzling with an average of 28.2 points. The team's depth, bolstered by Darius Garland and Evan Mobley, and Jarrett Allen's dominance on the glass, averaging 10.6 rebounds, have been key to their ascent. Looking at their recent head-to-head encounters in Philadelphia, the Cavaliers' superior road game, topping the league records, indicates their comfort in challenging terrains. Their balanced scoring and defensive sturdiness, coupled with Philadelphia's struggle in Embiid's absence, lean the odds toward Cleveland. The stats underline Cleveland's advantage, especially in shooting accuracy and rebounding, vital success metrics. Their prowess in maintaining high shooting percentages and controlling the rebound battle, both offensively and defensively, positions them favorably against Philadelphia's current state and injury setbacks. Despite the resilience and depth of both teams, Cleveland's form, efficiency, and the 76ers' handicaps without their key players suggest the streak will likely continue for the Cavaliers. The injury tally tilts the scales even more towards Cleveland, with Philadelphia missing key figures like Embiid, Batum, Melton, and possibly Bamba. This gap in health, alongside Cleveland's form and depth, hints at the Cavaliers poised to stretch their winning spree. In summary, while the Philadelphia 76ers aim to reverse their luck, the Cleveland Cavaliers' momentum, sharpness, and healthier roster peg them as the frontrunners in this face-off. Expect Cleveland to dictate the game's rhythm, exploit weaknesses, and clinch their 10th straight win. Given the Cavaliers' form and Philadelphia's challenges, particularly without Embiid, Cleveland looks set to not just emerge victorious, but also cover the 9.5-point spread. My wager is on the Cleveland Cavaliers to triumph and beat the spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between Chicago Bulls and Atlanta Hawks. As the season heats up, we're gearing up for an electrifying clash in the Eastern Conference as the Chicago Bulls head to Atlanta to face off against the Hawks. Both squads are in the thick of the playoff chase, with the Bulls eager to turn their fortunes around after a series of mixed outcomes in their recent stretch, and the Hawks on a high, securing wins in 6 of their last 8 games. Zooming in on their performance, the Bulls have flexed their resilience, clinching notable victories against the Timberwolves and Grizzlies, though they recently tripped up against the Magic. Sporting an average of 111.5 points per game on 46.6% shooting and grappling with a narrow margin in points allowed versus points scored, they've showcased their scoring touch and defensive chinks. DeMar DeRozan's scoring finesse, coupled with Kobe White's versatile contributions, has been key. Yet, their performance from three-point land and at the charity stripe signals a need for tightening up. On the flip side, the Hawks, despite their porous defense giving up 123.7 points on 50.1% shooting, have been offensive juggernauts, posting 121.7 points per game with a shooting efficiency matching the Bulls. Trae Young's scoring genius and playmaking, along with DeJounte Murray and Bogdan Bogdanovic's input, underscore Atlanta's offensive firepower. Nonetheless, their defensive gaps and inconsistency, particularly at home, loom large. A pivotal element in this face-off is the Hawks' lackluster record against the spread at home and their faltering against Eastern Conference foes post-victory. In contrast, the Bulls have shown resilience as underdogs against Southeast Division rivals after a loss, highlighting their rebound capability. Moreover, their past encounters lean in favor of the Bulls, especially in Atlanta, where they've consistently beaten the spread. Given the recent trajectories, statistical breakdowns, and historical encounters, the Bulls are primed to beat the spread. Despite the Hawks' home advantage and offensive might, Chicago's knack for rallying post-defeat, coupled with Atlanta's defensive struggles and Clint Capella's absence, sway the prediction in the Bulls' favor. The trend of high-scoring games between these teams further predicts an offensive showdown, playing into the Hawks' fast-paced game preference. In summary, analyzing the stats, team dynamics, and past performances, my forecast is that the Chicago Bulls will not just beat the spread, but also capitalize on the Hawks' defensive lapses. Atlanta's missing defensive key players and Chicago's proven resilience against Eastern Conference rivals after a setback strengthen this outlook. Hence, for those betting on this matchup, my recommendation is to back the Chicago Bulls to beat the spread and lean towards an over on the total points, considering the offensive leanings and defensive shortcomings of both teams. I'm placing my bet on the Chicago Bulls to overcome the 4-point spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between San Antonio Spurs and Toronto Raptors. Tonight's showdown features a captivating face-off between the San Antonio Spurs and the Toronto Raptors. With both squads eager to break free from their recent rough patches, The Spurs are currently weathering a harsh 7-game skid, while the Raptors are hungry for a win, having dropped 9 out of their last dozen contests. We're about to dissect the nitty-gritty of both teams' current form, their face-off records, and pivotal stats to deliver an insightful forecast for tonight's clash. The Spurs seem to be in a bit of a bind, having faced defeats against teams including the Wizards, Magic, Pelicans, Cavs, Heat, and Nets. They've been hitting an average of 112 points on 46% field goal shooting, but have been letting in 120.9 points on 49.2% shooting from their opponents, a telling sign of their defensive struggles. Victor Wembanyama has been a beacon of hope, averaging 20.3 points and 10 boards, yet the team's shaky defense has been their Achilles heel. Conversely, the Raptors have been a mixed bag, showing promise yet faltering, with an average score of 113.9 points on 47.7% shooting, while conceding 117.5 points on 48.8% shooting. With players like R.J. Barrett and Scotty Barnes at the helm, they possess the firepower to pivot back to form. However, their seesaw defensive efforts have been a blockade to consistent wins this season. Looking back, the Raptors have traditionally outplayed the Spurs, clinching victory in their last 6 matchups and successfully beating the spread each time. This streak, coupled with their comparative steadiness at home, hints at a Raptors advantage tonight. Yet the Spurs' knack for bouncing back, especially in away games with a 14-14 spread cover record this season, cannot be dismissed lightly. Diving deeper into the specifics, the Spurs' recent performances against Atlantic Division teams and their head-to-head showdowns in Toronto shed more light. Their consecutive losses to Atlantic Division rivals and failure to beat the spread in games following a defeat against these teams are glaring. On the flip side, the Raptors' stronghold in Toronto and their historical supremacy over the Spurs underscore their advantage. Comparing team stats, the Spurs' on-the-road offensive and defensive lapses, notably in shooting efficiency and perimeter defense, are red flags. The Raptors, despite their defensive flaws, have demonstrated a slightly superior scoring efficiency and edge in rebounding, factors that could tilt the scales in their favor tonight. Considering the Spurs' persistent troubles and the Raptors' aim to leverage their home court, the scales tip towards Toronto clinching a victory. Nevertheless, the Spurs' grit in away games might narrow the gap more than anticipated, possibly beating the spread. The decisive factor will be the Spurs' ability to step up their defense and limit the Raptors' leading scorers. To wrap up, tonight's bout is poised for a Raptors win, banking on their home advantage and historical edge over the Spurs. However, the Spurs' tenacity away from home and their knack for covering the spread present them as a strong contender to keep the game competitive. Final call, Raptors to win, but the Spurs to beat the 7-point spread, ensuring a tightly contested game. My wager, the Spurs beat the 7-point spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between New York Knicks and Houston Rockets. Tonight's showdown between the New York Knicks and the Houston Rockets is shaping up to be a battle royale, with both squads hungry to snap their skids. The Knicks, coming off a dazzling 9-game hot streak, hit a rough patch, dropping 3 of their last 4 contests. On the flip side, the Rockets are stuck in a rut with a 4-game losing streak, throwing a wrench in their playoff aspirations. Seeded 4th in the Eastern Conference, the Knicks are eyeing a rebound, while the 12th-placed Rockets in the West are desperate for a turnaround. Zooming in on the court action, the Knicks have been lighting up the scoreboard with 115 points per game on sharp 46.8% shooting, spearheaded by Jalen Brunson's stellar averages of 27.5 points and 6.5 assists. Even with Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson possibly on the sidelines, the Knicks bench mob has stepped up, anchoring a solid defense that's been stifling opponents to 109.9 points on 47.1% shooting. The Rockets, despite their woes, aren't going down without a fight. Alperen Sengun and Jalen Green have been the spark plugs, with Sengun topping the charts in points and boards. Yet, with Fred VanVleet potentially out, their scoring rhythm might take a hit. Their defense has been holding its own, conceding 112.8 points on 46% shooting, and their long-range game could give the Knicks D a run for its money. The Knicks have a history of bouncing back strong as road warriors, especially after a home loss, while the Rockets have found it tough sledding against Eastern Conference foes, albeit putting up a good fight in covering the spread in their recent homestands against such teams. With the Knicks boasting superior shooting metrics and a rebounding edge, they're primed for victory. Their clutch performance on the road and ability to pull through in tight spots give them the upper hand. Recent encounters in this venue have seen the visiting team, the Knicks in this case, come out on top, reinforcing their favorite status. Considering the Rockets' current state and the Knicks' push for momentum, we're in for an electrifying face-off. My prediction is that the Knicks are poised to take down the Rockets. Their resilience, statistical supremacy in crucial game aspects, and Jalen Brunson's leadership should pave the way for their victory and cover the 4.5-point spread. Expect an action-packed game, leaning towards an over on the 220.5 total points, with both teams' offensive firepower and defensive hurdles in play. The next prediction for today is for the game between New Orleans Pelicans and Memphis Grizzlies. As the New Orleans Pelicans prepare for a showdown with the Memphis Grizzlies at FedEx Forum, the vibe is electric for this Western Conference showdown. The Pelicans, on a hot streak with 5 victories in their last 6 outings, aim to solidify their playoff spot, currently lounging in 7th place with a 31-22 record. Their latest triumph over the Trailblazers, where they flexed their defensive muscles by holding them to a mere 84 points, speaks volumes of their confidence and strategic edge on the hardwood. Meanwhile, the Memphis Grizzlies are in a tight spot, eager to break free from an 8-game skid that's nudged them down to 13th in the conference with an 18-35 tally. Their recent defeat at the hands of the Hornets underscores their struggle to find a groove, hampered by the absence of key players due to injuries. Stat-wise, the Pelicans are a force offensively, posting an average of 116.5 points per game with a field goal accuracy of 48.9% and a commendable 37.9% from the three-point line. Their defense is equally formidable, holding adversaries to 112.4 points per game and shining in perimeter defense, leading the league with a 34.5% opponent three-point shooting percentage. These stats highlight the Pelicans' prowess in dominating play on both ends. Conversely, the Grizzlies face offensive challenges, scoring an average of only 107.1 points per game, the league's lowest, with shooting percentages of 43.9% from the field and 34.8% from beyond the arc. Their defensive stats also raise flags, with opponents sinking shots at 47.5% from the field and 38.3% from three-point range against them. The direct confrontation in Memphis leans towards the Pelicans, who have historically had the upper hand against the Grizzlies at FedEx Forum. The Pelicans' track record of resilience in night games against teams below 500 and their knack for keeping the momentum in critical matchups further tilt the odds in their favor. Injury updates introduce another dimension to the analysis. The Pelicans might be without key figures like Cody Zeller and Zion Williamson, yet their depth has kept them in stride. The Grizzlies, missing Zaire Williams, Desmond Bane, and Derrick Rose, face an uphill battle. Considering all elements, including statistical insights, current team dynamics, historical performances, and injury impacts, the forecast strongly favors the New Orleans Pelicans. Their offensive and defensive superiority, coupled with the Grizzlies' struggles and injury setbacks, positions the Pelicans for a decisive road victory, likely surpassing the 8.5-point spread. The Pelicans are primed to leverage their scoring talent and defensive strength to notch a win at FedEx Forum. My wager is on the New Orleans Pelicans to triumph and beat the spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between Denver Nuggets and Milwaukee Bucks. As the NBA season hits its stride, an electrifying clash is on the horizon at the Fiserv Forum, where the Denver Nuggets are set to face off against the Milwaukee Bucks. This isn't merely a game, it's a showdown for league dominance. With 8 victories in their last 11 games, the Nuggets aim to bounce back from a recent loss to the Kings that exposed their defensive vulnerabilities. Nikola Jokic, the cornerstone of Denver's attack, is consistently delivering performances worthy of the MVP title. Yet the team's struggles on the road spark concerns about their ability to maintain form away from their stronghold. The Bucks, fresh from a win against the Hornets, are eager to demonstrate that this victory signals a resurgence. With Damian Lillard's precision from beyond the arc and Giannis Antetokounmpo's all-around supremacy, Milwaukee has the tools to turn any game in their favor, despite defensive lapses that have hampered them this season. Their high-octane offense remains their ticket to clinching wins against the toughest opponents. Stat-wise, both teams pack a formidable punch offensively. Denver excels in teamwork, leading in assists and shooting efficiency, showcasing their collective gameplay. In contrast, Milwaukee's scoring prowess, spearheaded by Antetokounmpo, makes them a force to be reckoned with despite their defensive shortcomings. Past encounters in Milwaukee have always been intense, with recent games indicating a trend of high-scoring battles and shared victories. However, Denver's ability to rebound from defeats and their performance history at the Fiserv Forum hint at a resilience that may give them the upper hand. Injuries could be a game-changer, with Denver possibly missing Michael Porter Jr. and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and Milwaukee without Chris Middleton. These gaps will surely affect the game plan and outcome for both sides. Considering Denver's knack for recovering from losses, their offensive efficiency, and Milwaukee's defensive struggles, the Nuggets are well positioned to conquer their road game challenges. Yet Milwaukee's drive for stability, coupled with their home advantage and Denver's iffy performance away, sets up a nail-bitingly close game. This matchup is anticipated to be a close-knit battle, influenced by game-changing plays. Milwaukee's need for a winning streak and Denver's road vulnerabilities suggest a slight advantage for the Bucks, particularly if their offense performs as well as it did against the Hornets. This clash of resilience and firepower promises a thrilling game, but Milwaukee's home court advantage and urgency may just secure them a pivotal victory. Expect the Bucks to use their scoring talent and the energy of their home crowd to snatch a win against the Nuggets in a high-tempo game. Milwaukee's recent home performance against teams from the West and their edge in critical stats, particularly in their latest outings, slightly tips the scale in their favor. My prediction leans towards the Milwaukee Bucks securing the win and covering the 1.5-point spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between Washington Wizards and Dallas Mavericks. As the Washington Wizards gear up for their showdown against the Dallas Mavericks at the American Airlines Center, anticipation builds for a captivating clash. The Wizards, in a bit of a rough patch, with 12 defeats out of their last 14 games, are hungry to break free from a 6-game losing streak, especially after a tight loss to the 76ers. Despite the tough times, players like Tyus Jones and Kyle Kuzma have stepped up, with Jones making waves with his scoring prowess and assist skills. On the flip side, the Mavericks are on an upward trajectory, clinching 6 victories in their recent 9 games, highlighted by a commanding win over the Thunder. The dynamic duo of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving has been pivotal, driving the team forward with their scoring explosions and slick playmaking. Looking at the numbers, the Wizards have been lagging defensively, conceding the highest average points per game in the league this season. Their performance on the boards is also at the bottom, further complicating their on-court struggles. Meanwhile, the Mavericks have adopted a more balanced attack, powered by the league's top scorer, Luka Doncic, despite facing their own defensive challenges. In previous encounters, the Mavericks have had the upper hand, especially in recent games at the American Airlines Center. The Mavericks' knack for leveraging their home turf and the Wizards' difficulties on the road against formidable teams suggest a tilt in the balance. Yet, the Wizards have shown their mettle in tough spots, particularly when playing Western Conference teams away. Their ability to beat the odds, combined with the Mavericks' somewhat weaker home performance against Eastern Conference teams with losing streaks, introduces an element of unpredictability to the forecast. Taking into account both teams' current form, historical matchups, and the Wizards' grit against the spread, the prediction veers towards the Washington Wizards covering the 14.5-point spread. Their proficiency in against-the-spread scenarios, especially in adverse conditions, hints at their potential to surprise us yet again, even though a victory against a Mavericks team aiming to solidify their playoff spot seems daunting. In summary, while the Dallas Mavericks look set to continue their winning streak, the smart money might be on the Washington Wizards to beat the spread, considering their recent form and against-the-spread history. The Mavericks' offensive might and home advantage should win them the game, but the Wizards are expected to mount a strong challenge, likely making it a tighter game than the spread indicates. I'm placing my bets on the Washington Wizards to cover the 14.5-point spread. The next prediction for today is for the game between Golden State Warriors and Utah Jazz. In the electrifying atmosphere of the Delta Center, a showdown looms as the Golden State Warriors square off against the Utah Jazz in what promises to be a colossal battle. The Warriors, buoyant from securing 6 victories in their last 7 outings, are poised to keep their hot streak alive, coming off a nail-biter win over the Suns. Their resurgence can be largely attributed to Stephen Curry's remarkable performances, punctuated by a clutch three-pointer to seal the deal against the Suns, underscoring their knack for stepping up in crunch time. Conversely, The Utah Jazz, amid a rough patch, are determined to regain their stride and shake off a slump. Diving into the recent performances and season statistics of both squads offers fascinating insights. Led by Curry's scoring finesse and Draymond Green's versatile contributions, the Warriors have excelled in clinching victories in tight situations. Their prowess in three-point shooting and rebounding has been instrumental in their latest triumphs. On the other hand, the Jazz, with Lauri Markkanen at the helm for scoring and boards, have displayed moments of excellence, but have battled to maintain consistency, especially on the defensive end. A pivotal element in this clash is the track record and performance of both teams at the Delta Center. The Jazz have historically thrived against the Warriors on their home turf, benefiting from the home court edge. Yet, the Warriors' recent form on the road, including their success in covering the spread, indicates their capability to surmount away game challenges this season. Injuries could significantly influence the game's dynamics. The Warriors missing Chris Paul have nevertheless demonstrated resilience and adaptability. The Jazz's potential lineup changes could affect their strategy and necessitate a stronger showing from their starters. Considering the comparative stats, historical matchups in Utah, and current forms, the edge goes to the Golden State Warriors. Their clutch performance, spearheaded by Curry, and their efficient scoring grants them superiority over the Jazz, who, despite home advantage and rest, have shown inconsistency. Given the bookmakers' odds and the expected tight, high-scoring affair, the Warriors' ongoing momentum, stellar road record, and tactical depth to exploit the Jazz's defensive shortcomings favor them. In summary, anticipate the Warriors to not only emerge victorious, but also to cover the spread, leveraging their recent success and star players' prowess. The match is set to highlight Golden State's resilience and Utah's tenacity, but ultimately, the Warriors' blend of experience and form will prevail. My wager is on the Golden State Warriors to beat the spread. The last prediction for today is for the game between Minnesota Timberwolves and Los Angeles Clippers. Tonight's game at thecrypto.com arena is shaping up to be an epic showdown as the Minnesota Timberwolves lock horns with the Los Angeles Clippers in a much-anticipated Western Conference showdown. The stage is set for a high-stakes duel, with both squads riding waves of momentum. The Timberwolves have clinched victories in 6 of their last 9 games, whereas the Clippers have emerged victorious in 10 of their last 12 contests. This isn't just a clash of current form, but a quest for dominance in the conference. The Timberwolves boast an impressive 36-16 record, making waves especially with their sharpshooting from the three-point line, boasting a 39.4% success rate that ranks second in the league. Their defense is equally formidable, allowing a league-low 107.1 points per game. Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns have been instrumental in their team's dominance, showcasing their might in their recent demolition of the Milwaukee Bucks. Their defense shines just as brightly, with Rudy Gobert's presence in the paint being a cornerstone of their top-tier defensive standing. On the other hand, the Clippers, standing at 35-16, are an offensive powerhouse, scoring an average of 118.4 points per game with a field goal efficiency of 49.5%. They lead the league in three-point shooting at 39.7%, and their defense holds strong, allowing 112.3 points per game. The superstar trio of Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and James Harden brings an unparalleled level of star power and flexibility to the team. The Clippers have a notable track record at the Crypto.com arena, securing wins in their last 14 games following a home victory, highlighting their resilience and home court prowess. Nonetheless, the Timberwolves have proven to be formidable adversaries, especially when entering as rested underdogs, having won and covered the betting spread in their last 7 and 9 games, respectively, in such situations. When comparing the two teams, the Timberwolves' defensive excellence and sharp three-point shooting give them a marginal advantage. Yet the Clippers' scoring depth and home performance are forces to be reckoned with. In their recent encounters in Los Angeles, the Clippers have displayed toughness and adaptability, essential elements of their winning formula. With the back-to-back games scenario and the Clippers' solid recent performance, their ability to handle consecutive games is noteworthy. Conversely, the Timberwolves have shown they thrive with a rest advantage, a critical aspect in this matchup. In summary, though the Clippers are the favorites with a minus 4.5 point spread, the Timberwolves' stellar defense and offensive efficiency make them strong contenders to not only beat the spread, but also potentially pull off an upset. The key will be their capacity to neutralize the Clippers' all-star lineup and leverage their defensive acumen to dictate the game's pace. Considering all aspects, the Timberwolves' balanced offensive and defensive game plan could be the game changer in this electrifying battle. My money's on the Minnesota Timberwolves to overcome the plus 4.5 point spread.